Hey folks, I'm totally not named Dan, and as those of you who've been following me for a little while may know, I recently moved house. So I'm no longer living in Leeds, and things have been a bit haphazard since then. I've been running with a sort of slightly scuffed VTuber setup, though the art has been beautiful. I'll leave a link to the artist down below in case scanda. And yeah, this is the first time I've been able to actually greet you in person, albeit from my bed, since I've moved to the new house. So, now that I'm here in person, it's probably about time that I relay to you one of the worst experiences I had during the move. This. This, for those of you who don't recognize the packaging, is Magic the Gathering's Secret Lair. I ordered these back in January. We've got the Street Fighter one and the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty one, which, yeah, sure, I loved the set. It was wonderful. But I ordered these back in January. You know, Kamigawa, not relevant at all anymore. I have no use for this. So, just the Street Fighter one, I guess. And the thing about that, even, is, when these were coming out, I was excited for them. Over half a year later, they are what they are, I guess. They're not a fun new thing to talk about. Not really worth spending ages comparing to the Street Fighter ones from UniVersus now, given that, well, they're no longer the current talking point. So, yeah, I'll probably have fun with them. Yeah, I'll probably still talk about them a bit, but it is very disappointing that I couldn't have them at the time they were relevant. And I couldn't talk about them back then because there were no good images of them out. They only had these really ultra tiny thumbnail ones. Whereas, Jasco's stuff, every time they put a product out, they have the images. If they don't want you proxying them, they put their watermark over the top, like any sensible company would. So, yeah, that's been a pain. But the worst part of it all was that I got the notification about these the day I moved. The actual day I left my old house, never to be able to return. Or at least not to be able to live there again, because new people were moving in. I got the notification that I was having something posted to me the day before I left, and had to do everything I could to get it shipped somewhere else. And I couldn't get it sent to my new house. I couldn't get through their customer services. I could only get through to a line that was basically the general background noise of their call center. And so, yeah, I had no idea what this FedEx delivery was because, of course, I'd forgotten I'd even ordered these because it was 6 months beforehand. So, that was a hell of an ordeal to sort out. Finally managed to get them sent to a local booze store, basically. And then had a week to get all the way back to Leeds in order to pick them up. And just, it was ridiculous. And yeah, that seriously pissed me off. But, these also, they cost me something like 80 quid a box. And there's 8 cards in this one. There's 4 in the Neon Dynasty one. The My Hero Academia equivalent, the UniVersus one, they're doing nowadays, actually releases with the set. You can get it from local stores. And this is 30 quid as opposed to those. And it has 24 cards in it. All, just so you're aware, foil. And a lot better foil than Magic does. At least normally. I'll crack this open and see how the foil on these compares. Oh, I do like the Here Comes a New Challenger on there. That's a nice touch, even if the packaging is a lot crapper than the Eldraine Secret Lair I previously had. Oh, never mind, never mind. We got good packaging in here. Oh, that looks quite nice. Never mind. I doubted you, Wizards. And then we got the black gloss on there. So yeah, packaging actually looks pretty good once you get it out of that outer packet. However, the box is way bigger than it needs to be for that many cards. Look at that. That's nothing. And I see there's this extra little Hadoken on the back, which I had seen spoilers online. I knew was coming. It's just a reskinned lightning bolt, but it's a really nice reskinned lightning bolt. Honestly, can't fault that in the slightest. That does look kind of beautiful. I'll put a proper picture of it up on screen if I can. So, no guarantees on that. I'll also give you a look at it up close at the camera right now. There you go. That's that. What else do we have in here? And is this going to be 8 cards or is this going to be 7? Is the 8 that it says on the back including the free Hadoken or not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, no, it's not. That's nice. That's nice. That is a freebie. So, first up, we have Mono White E Honda the Sumo Champion. 4 and 2 white to play, Legendary Human Warrior. Sumo Spirit, as long as it's your turn, each creature assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, which is good because it's 0/7. And then 100 Hand Slap. Whenever E Honda Sumo Champion attacks, up to 100 target creatures each get +0/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So buffs your everything, that's going to be significantly worse than other cards that do so because it comes down so late as a 6-mana creature. A lot of strength on the offense. If it blocks, it's a 0/7. It blocks things quite well. An alright card. Definitely not something I'd consider putting in a tournament deck, but maybe something I'd run for fun. Then we have Ryu World Warrior, who is, of course, also a human warrior. Training, whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Clearly we need a Shenlong for that, right? Then Hadoken, for a red and an untap to mimic the quarter circle motion, which is honestly quite nice. Discard a card. Ryu World Warrior deals damage equal to his power to any target. If excess damage is dealt to a creature this way, draw a card. That's not bad at all. Card draw engine in red-white, which I would not have expected, but I mean, it makes sense on a trample type effect, right? Maybe. I don't know, it fits the colors at least. Then we have Ken Burning Brawler. This one's 1 and 2 red mana, and it's red or white to activate its ability. Realistically, you're probably running it in mono red, but it opens up more color identity for Commander. Again, a human warrior, this time prowess, so instead of getting +1/+1 permanently whenever it attacks with a thing, it gets until end of turn when you cast a non-creature spell. For 1 red or white, Ken gains first strike until end of turn. And then Shoryuken, whenever Ken deals combat damage, you may cast a sorcery spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost. Sadly, if you do it that way, you won't get the +1/+1 from prowess, or at least you won't get it before the damage is dealt, because it triggers on damage being dealt. But it encourages you to play a very sorcery-laden deck still, and every sorcery you play then buffs the strength of the sorcery that you can play after. At base, he's a 4/2. Then we have Blanca, the Ferocious Fiend, doing his typical electrification of his victim. And it looks like it's Dan as the victim. I do like that we got a reference to Dan in here, even if he's not one of the cards. 3 a red and a green, 5/5 with haste. Human Beast Warrior this time. Still legendary, of course. Rolling attack. Blanca Ferocious Fiend has trample as long as you've cast 3 or more spells this turn. That's a fair amount to trigger just for trample. And then Electric Thunder. Whenever Blanca becomes the target of a spell, he gets +2/+2 until end of turn and deals 2 damage to each opponent. Okay, that's something more significant. So you target him with 3 spells. That's +6/+6, 6 damage and trample. So yeah, he wants you to do silly things. I mean, maybe you even want to throw your burn at him. Because if you throw a lightning bolt at him, your opponent still takes 2 of the 3 damage. He gets +2 attack, and you've only essentially cost him 1 toughness. And it gets you closer to that rolling attack. So yeah, it might actually be worth Hadokening your own Blanca, which is a bit weird, but I'm not complaining. Then Chun-Li Countless Kicks. 1 a white and a blue. Human Soldier this time. Little bit different. Didn't know law enforcement was a soldier, but whatever. Multi-kicker for a white or a blue. And then when Chun-Li enters the battlefield, exile up to X target instant cards from your graveyard, where X is the number of times Chun-Li was kicked. Note, Chun-Li doesn't normally get kicked. Chun-Li normally does the kicking, so it's not perfect, the flavor on that, but multi-kicker is still very fitting for the character. And then put a kick counter on each of those cards that was exiled that way. Lightning Kick, whenever Chun-Li attacks, copy each exiled card you own with a kick counter on it, you may cast the copies. Chun-Li is only a 3/3 though, so you've probably got to find some way to protect her in combat, but it's quite possible that all those cards you've put into your graveyard will help do that. Chun-Li definitely seems like the most viable of the bunch so far. Then we have Dalsim, the Pliable Pacifist, who is a 2, a green and a white, a human monk this time. Has reach and teleport. Dalsim, Pliable Pacifist, has hexproof unless he's attacking, so actively punishes you for attacking with him. He's a 1/3 anyway, so unless his other abilities are great, probably not worth attacking. And whenever your creature you control with reach attacks, untap it and it can't be blocked by creatures with greater power this combat. So contrary to that, he's actually going to slip under the radar quite well because of that 1/3. And because he's got reach, he basically has vigilance. Then Fierce Punch, whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So yeah, he's just free card draw in green-white. So this has really been a giving white and other color that doesn't normally draw cards card draw collection, which is interesting. I'm not sure how viable Dalsim's going to be. He certainly doesn't do what I'd like to see him do, which is fire, fire, fire. But it's entirely possible for some sort of reach tribal with him to be a lot of fun. And sneaking them all under the radar, getting a little bit of extra damage in, untapping with them, drawing cards. Not bad, especially in those colors where that's not really a thing that happens normally. Then Guile, the Sonic Soldier. On a red, blue, and a white. Not in that order. It should really be red, white, and blue, but it's blue, red, white because magic rules. Again, a human soldier makes a lot more sense for Guile. Guile actually is a soldier. Whenever Guile, Sonic Soldier, enters the battlefield or attacks, put a charge counter on him or remove one from him. When you remove a counter this way, choose one. Either Sonic Boom, Guile Sonic Soldier deals 4 damage to any target, or Flash Kick, Guile Sonic Soldier gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. So what you've sort of got there is you can choose between the damage or the life gain of your Lightning Helix, but it's also +1. It's now 4 rather than 3. But obviously comes in with a charge counter, attacks, you take that charge counter off, you kill off any blocker that might get in his way, and then you let him hit face, right? Problem is, next time he attacks, he's then just a vanilla 4/4, and it's not until the time after that that he can use his ability again. So I understand the having to re-ready himself for that move, but this guy seems kind of bad. Then there's Zangief, the Red Cyclone. 2, a black, a red, and a green, so he is actually red. Cool. He's a legendary creature, human warrior. He's a 7/4, which is impressive for 5 mana on its face. Zangief, Red Cyclone, must be blocked if able. So expect things to die to him, but also expect him to die to something pretty quickly with that 4, I guess. Iron Muscle, as long as it's your turn, Zangief has indestructible. Never mind. Never mind. He's just going to be killing 7 powers worth of stuff every turn, or at least killing something every turn, unless your opponent can drop a 8 toughness down. And then Spinning Pile Driver, whenever Zangief deals damage to a creature, if it was dealt excess damage this turn, that creature's controller sacrifices a non-creature, non-land permanent. So just blow up all your opponent's artifacts, enchantments, etc. Planeswalkers, I guess. He seems alright as a finisher. I don't think I'd put him in a standard deck. Not that he's legal in standard. Because at that point, you want to be killing on turn 4, really. You don't want to be waiting till turn 6. But he's probably a decent commander. All of these are decent. I don't think most of them are viable. Chun-Li's interesting, but even Chun-Li has to survive a turn to do anything. You know, to get the most effect out of her, you want to be paying at least 5 for her, right? I don't know if any of these, besides the Hadouken, are actually competitively viable, but they're fun. One thing I do want to mention, though, is a lot of them, they've shown attacks in the art, they've not shown them like character art, which is weird to me, because this is Magic the Gathering, where every card is either a character or, in the case of the Hadouken, actually the attack. So I guess there is room for them to make spells based on the attacks. Like an extendable fist spell, a flurry of kicks spell, a 100-hand slap spell. Sonic Boom could easily be its own separate spell, which would just be Lightning Helix at that point. That's just Lightning Bolt. And this is Zangief's Atomic Pile Driver, I believe is the name of it. It's a UniVersus card. It's not the exact same art as the UniVersus card, obviously. They had to do it in a Magic the Gathering style and show a bear on it, but it's not that far off. And yeah, just for the comparison's sake, here's Sea Viper, M. Bison, Ibuki, and Akuma from the UniVersus Street Fighter DLC. Now, UniVersus had many Street Fighter sets in the past, so their DLC had to be a little special to set it apart. In this case, it's in using the Puzzle Fighter or similar art style, where everything is this specific graffiti style, and the difficulty and control are in this graffiti font, along with the name and such. And yeah, they look real nice. They're definitely more of a chibi style than the main game, but UniVersus gets away with that. And every single one of those has an attack and a foundation as support. So you get the image of just character posing in the art, which looks a lot less. I mean, you still see them punchy a bit, I guess, but you can clearly tell the difference between the attack art and the not attack art. Whereas the Magic the Gathering ones do look a lot more like attack art. And I know for a fact, at the very least, M. Bison saw a lot of competitive play. So these were not made just for a casual market, but then again, they're made for a crossover game. It's expected that UniVersus is going to be Street Fighter versus Soul Calibur versus a bit of My Hero versus a bit of Mortal Kombat. And you'll be able to reenact the My Hero Academia third movie scene where Takeda's fatality gets used on Bakugo and he somehow survives. I'm not quite sure how that happens, but I guess watch the movie and find out. But My Hero specifically, we have this particular DLC, which is the Wild Wild Pussycats DLC. It was released alongside Set 3. It's meant to go with Set 3. It doesn't have any actual relation to the contents of Set 3 as far as I can tell, because none of these characters were in Set 3. And yeah, it doesn't have the pretty inner sleeve to the product that Secret Lair did, but that's a way bigger stack of cards. It justifies the packaging a little more. So, I'll be honest with you, it's still a little oversized. And yeah, in here, we don't just get one copy of everything, so we don't have to buy 4 of them to play it in a standard deck. The Street Fighter 1 was clearly meant for Commander. In this, we get 2 of every card, splits in half like that. And I will take photos of these all to show you, because images aren't available online at the time of recording. They might well be by the time this video goes live, because I've got a little bit of a backlog right now, but I will take pictures. I'll do my best to put readable versions of the cards up online for you. So, we'll do each character individually. We have Mandalay, who looks like that. She's a 627. Enhance, name an attack zone. If the next attack played this turn is the named zone, it gets +2 or -2 damage. And then response, after you play a foundation, if the next card you try to play is an attack, it gets -2 difficulty. She really wants to play foundation and just go hard on playing attacks late in the turn. But also, her foundation, Adorable Telepath, plays into this really weirdly. This is a 1/5 with a +3 high block. Enhance, add this card to your hand. This attack gets +1 or -1 speed, so do that during your attack, pick it back up. And then response, after you play this card, the next attack this turn gets +1 or -1 damage. So it's play attack, then play all of the Adorable Telepaths you picked up again, buff the next attack you play your next attack at massively reduced difficulty because Mandalay. But yeah, she really wants to be spamming that Adorable Telepath. It's a good thing I bought 2 boxes of this, because she's going to want all 4. Then we have Cat Scratch, which is a 4/3 attack. It's a 2 low block, 4 mid for 5, punch. Enhance, name an attack zone. If the next attack you try to play matches the named zone, build 1 momentum face down. So cool, you gain a foundation to make up for all the foundations you've been picking up, I guess. And then enhance, this attack gets +1 speed and +1 damage for each foundation in your card pool. So every single one of those Adorable Telepaths you play is now a +1/+1 for this. But I mean, it already kind of was, wasn't it? Yeah, that's her gimmick. She's wild. As the Wild Wild Pussycat's name should imply. But then they're all kind of crazy in this set. Next up, we have Pixie-Bob, who's a 628, so 1 more health than the last, and you can really see it's just completely unreadable on my camera because of how foil this is. These are all so goddamn foily. UniVersus cards are beautiful, but but also really hard to view on a webcam. So, enhance once per turn, your turn. Both players add one card from their stage to their momentum. So, does the opposite of what that attack did. Gives you momentum, but you lose a card from your stage. Interesting that it doesn't specify what sort of card, so I wonder if additional characters can do that or not. Probably not, because it doesn't specify character, and things that don't say that they touch characters don't touch characters. But maybe. Then enhance commit. This ally attack gets +2 damage and gains stun 1. Okay, so she wants to play ally stuff. She wants to tap her opponent down, or commit them out if you prefer. Response, discard 1 momentum. After your ally attack deals damage, ready this card, playable while committed. Then we have her actual ally attack, the Cat's Claw Face Grab, which is an ally throw. It's a 4 difficulty 3 check, +3 high block. It's a 1/5 high, and it has enhance, commit 1 face down rival foundation. Nothing beyond that, it's just another way to commit their stuff. And sadly, it only works on a face down, so you don't even get to pick a nice ability to get rid of. Frankly, that enhance is pretty crap. But the fact that it's low speed doesn't matter so much because it's a throw. And it's an ally throw, so I think it just gives her the ability to do throws in a way that I don't think she could before, because I don't think there were ally throws. Then we have Playful as a Cat, a 2/5 foundation with a +2 mid block. And this is the first foundation we've seen with the if this card is added to your momentum, add it face up text. Just as a static ability. It has enhanced momentum flip. Your ally attack gets +3 speed. So if you're not running this in her, you're running this in Tokoyami, who I'm pretty sure shares fire and chaos with it. This is going to be crazy in him, because this just says basically any one of his attacks is 3 more difficult to block, because he's playing so many allies already. Tokoyami is going to be good. It then also has enhance commit, discard 1 momentum, your rival discards 2 momentum. But how do you get this into your momentum? I guess Pixie-Bob puts it in her momentum, and that's how she uses it. I'll have to look into how Tokoyami uses it later, but that may be a deck I play in the future. And the fact that it's also momentum denial for the opponent after you've given them momentum. Not exactly the worst thing in the world, you know? So we talked about that being the slightly more healthy character. Here's the slightly less healthy character. A 6/26, which is taking me back to the older days of the game when 26s and 25s were standard on a 6-hand sizer. This is Ragdoll. Form once per game, search your deck for 1 card and add it to your hand. So just pick up any card you could possibly want. No wonder she has slightly less health. I'd actually go lower at that point. That's already an insane ability. Then enhance once per turn, reveal 2 cards from your hand. If the cards you revealed have the same name, which is easy to fulfill with that pick up any card you want from your deck ability, but probably a waste of your pick up any card from your deck ability to fulfill. Then this attack gets +4 or -4 speed. So she's wanting to do something very similar to what Mei Lian, the Dragon Girl, wanted to do before. And I loved Mei Lian, but Mei Lian gave +5 damage. Now, the downside to Mei Lian was that Mei Lian was very blockable, but if you ever got an attack through, that was roughly 10 damage right then and there. And Mei Lian would just keep throwing 10 damage attack after 10 damage attack after 10 damage attack until the opponent either died or somehow managed to get 35 damage through to her. Again, though, I learned playing Mei Lian that keeping 2 matching cards in your hand is in fact a massive cost. It'll be slightly less so on a 6-hander rather than a 5-hander, but this character is not necessarily the best because of that. Because for most of your attack turns, you're essentially going to be a 4-hander, which is pretty darn awful. So she also has enhance, flip 1 foundation, look at the top card of your deck. Okay, you can predict your next check, so you can know when to play attacks and when to play foundations, or when to do something to get the attack off the top of the deck, when to use that 1 Jiro card if you can. She's cool. I don't know if she's going to be good, because on the one hand, picking up any card you want is great. On the other hand, flipping your own stuff's not ideal unless you can get rid of it and replace it with other things. And also having to keep 2 identical cards in hand to get her main ability, the +4 or -4 speed, is really rough. And imagine having to keep those 2 cards in hand and block. That's using at least 3 cards from your hand. And that's a 6-hander, so you will have had to have played at most 3 cards from your hand the previous turn to do that, unless you're getting a lot of card draw. So she's got a lot going for her, but she's also going to be real rough, is what I'm saying. The foundation is another 1/5, a happy-go-lucky. +3 low block. Low blocks are always nice. Has response after this foundation is destroyed by your rival's effect, draw 1 card. Okay, that's practically nothing, but I guess it makes you a little happier to see it go. And then enhance commit, add 1 copy of Happy Go Lucky from your discard pile to your hand. Okay, so it actually wants your opponent to destroy it so that you can then pick it back up and keep drawing cards with that. It's also a very spammable foundation because you can just keep picking them up. And I guess this is also another way to fulfill her having identical cards in hand ability. Now, if this had order, I would definitely play this in Melee N, but it doesn't share symbols with my current Melee N deck, and my Melee N deck needs to stay on the symbols it's on so it can use Red Eye Capsule, the card that you're allowed to play 16 copies of. But it's an interesting, different way to build Melee N ability. And if it does share one of the other symbols with Melee N, I may well end up playing a second Melee N deck to see how that pans out. Even though I'm fairly sure Melee N has rotated out of standard by now. Her attack to go with that is Cat Pounce. It is a 5 difficulty 3 check, +2 mid block. It is a 3 mid for 5 with stun 1. So you could argue that's essentially a 4 mid for 5. Enhance, remove 1 attack from your hand. Choose 1 attack in your discard pile and add it to your hand. Jeez. So this is essentially Evil Bow, but on an enhance rather than on a check. And it's not a 2 check, so you don't have that punish for it. Holy crap. That is real good. Just lets you pick up any attack you want from your discard pile. And then it also has Ragdoll enhance, change the zone of its attack. That only matters if you play in Ragdoll, but you probably will actually, because Ragdoll just says you have whatever cards you want whenever you want. Which is insane. At least one of the characters in this pack is going to be broken and banned by the time set 4 comes out. Or at least by the time set 5 comes out, I can assure you. I don't know exactly which one it's going to be, but there is no way we get to set 5 with all of these still legal in My Hero. Then we have Tiger, who my stream buddies are excited about because he's the only confirmed trans character in My Hero. And so, yeah, they want to play him for that. But he's a 5-hander as the big beefy one of the group, and therefore a 33 health. Has Enhance, if your attack deals damage, draw 1 card. No conditions on that. Just every attack you play, if it's not flash, you say Enhance, and then you draw a card if it deals damage. So he wants to be playing throws, he wants to be playing those always deals 1 damage cards, he definitely wants to be running on order for all of that nonsense. And then he can just keep spamming and drawing and go through his whole deck if he wants. At least if he can deal with the progressive difficulty. Then he has Enhance once per turn, switch this attack's speed and damage. So just spooky on face. And trust me, at so many of the events I've been to, spooky has shut down what I was doing so much, and I've had to play around it constantly. It is a really good card, and this isn't just that card. This is that card on both players' turns, rather than that card once per pair of turns. So he gets to use it offensively as well as defensively. Then response twice per enhanced step. Jeez, that's frequent. After an effect modifies the speed of your attack, the attack gets +1 damage. So his enhance triggers that once per turn, but obviously he wants other ways to do that as well. It looks like he's kind of playing into some of the Eater Kit stuff. But also, his damage buffs are his speed buffs, and his speed buffs are his damage buffs, if he wants them to be, because of that switching ability. Apart from being a 5-hander, he seems real stupid good, but a lot of 5-handers do, so we'll see how he plays out. Then he has Cat Punch, which is a 4 difficulty 3 check, +2 mid block, punch, obviously. It's a 2/6 mid, and it's got Enhance. If this attack is blocked, draw 1 card. So if the attack doesn't deal damage, you still draw. And then Enhance, commit 1 foundation. This attack gets +2 speed. Okay, so it becomes a 4 speed, and then it gets the response to give it +1 damage. It's 4 speed, 7 damage, or 7 speed, 4 damage. Not bad. It's also worth noting if it's partial blocked, because of him, he then gets to draw 2. So yeah, maybe don't partial block this guy. Then we have his foundation, which is a 3 diff, 5 check, +2 mid block again, Plier Body, because I'd completely forgotten that this guy's basically made out of rubber. He's basically Luffy. And you know, I tried the One Piece card game recently. It's a reasonable TCG that plays quite similarly to a mix of Digimon and Dragon Ball. It's not something I expect myself to be getting into, especially as the art looks like it was made by AI, but other than that, you know, it's still fun. If people want to play it with me, I'll happily play it now and then. Anyway, this card has Enhance. If your printed hand size is 5 or less, your attack gets +1 speed. So just +1 speed to all of his attacks. Oh look, they've gained a speed bonus. Here's a damage bonus. Nice. If you manage to get 2 of this down, even nicer because then you can trigger his response twice. So at that point, at least one of them has to have been played either on a separate turn or as a 4. So that's not ideal. And then enhance your attack, commit, flip. If your rival has more foundations than you, they add 1 foundation to their card pool face down. So that's just sticky balls again. So interestingly, this is kind of Mineta support. And it's got water, so Mineta can run it on his best symbol. Sadly, it doesn't share any symbols with the ways to cheat foundations in that we've seen so far. At least not the 2 that I can think of, Ready, Get, Set, Go, and New Training Method. But that's a darn nice card. That is still going to be great for Mineta. Yeah, I really like all of these. I'm definitely playing some of them. I'm just trying to think which I play in what. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have a lot of fun with these. Probably a lot more fun than I'm going to have with the Magic cards, to be honest. But part of that is that I just don't build Magic as much. I reckon. I mean, I've talked about how stunning these foils are. I should probably just quickly pick up the Neon Dynasty pack that's on my floor in the corner and take a look at just how good their Neon Ink is. Hopefully that's something spectacular. Otherwise, the UniVersus ones are just all round way better. Right, let's crack into this, shall we? Thank you for being a part of Secret Lair. Yeah, screw you, Wizards. I didn't want to be a part of Secret Lair. I just wanted to buy cool cards, and I would have bought them at point of sale rather than over 6 months prior from your website if I could possibly have done so. And I'd much rather they were sold at a reasonable price rather than your scammy roughly 80 quid for 4 cards. And yeah, alright, that's some shocking neon ink. But that shade of neon yellow, it actually looks quite garish on the cards. It doesn't look anywhere near as nice as it did on the pictures beforehand. It's kind of tacky. Not going to lie to you. I'll put photographs up on screen so you can get a better look at them, because it doesn't come through the best on the webcam, but the foil is actually really nice on these cards. They've definitely put some effort into the foiling, but the neon ink just does not do it for me at all. Oh, that's lame. Oh, first off, I don't know if you can tell, there's some damage to the packet for this, and it's warped in a way that I can't undo. So I'm glad that's only to the packet, not to my card. But this is a 2-headed sliver. It's just an extended art 2-headed sliver. It's not anything relevant to the Neon Dynasty pack. You know, if they gave me a Neon Ink 2-headed sliver, I'd absolutely run that in my sliver deck. And I probably will run this anyway, but it's just a shiny extended art 2-headed sliver. It's not relevant at all. Actually, I'm glad it's not neon yellow. That'd look gross. I'm not impressed with Secret Lair at all. As said, over 6 months to ship. When they do, they don't tell you that they're shipping till day of. You get a notification for the shipping company before you hear from Wizards. They don't let you change your address if you've moved house in that time. They bill you then rather than ahead of time, so you're completely unprepared for it when it happens. They cost almost 3 times as much as the UniVersus equivalent, and you just got to go through the website to get them, and you barely get anything in them compared to UniVersus, because this is 24 cards compared to 4 or 8. Or I guess 5 or 9 if you count the bonus one. But yeah, I am extremely unimpressed with all of this. These, the UniVersus ones, little pricey, but they're worth it. Definitely worth getting if you like the look of the characters in there. And even if you don't, a lot of the cards are going to be tournament viable. Genuinely worth playing. Secret Lair, unless you're absolutely thrilled with the theming, don't get them. And even if you are, buyer beware, they will take upwards of 6 months to get to you. Be massively price gouged, and on top of all of that, you're not going to be able to use them in tournaments, really. They are going to be just a power level where they're relatively fun to play casually. So if people are playing serious decks against you, you're kind of screwed. Anyway, that's all for this one, and yeah, I won't be buying Secret Lair again. See you. Bye. Oh, actually, just one last little note about these. These are Ghostly Prison and Freed from the Real. These are Hall of the Bandit Lord and Besidu Who Shelters All. There is a tiny difference in the frames between the 2 sets, but not nearly enough to tell me that these are lands. These are non-lands. I didn't even realize I had lands in this set, so just goes to show the neon frames not good. Okay, bye for real this time. See you.